I asked the Select Committee to advise me and to conduct this inquiry. I'm very grateful that they have. We need to make sure that all of the voices are heard as we reform planning law. I think it's a very constructive report. They've agreed with me that we need to simplify the system to make it more accessible, and they've made some practical suggestions as to how we might do that.
We absolutely think this report says some really important things about the planning framework that the government is proposing. And in particular, the MPs are very clear that the planning system has to be one that balances the economic with the environmental and the social, and that's what's missing in the current draft of the planning policy.
The government consulted on a document which was a pretty radical change to planning documentation. They reduced 1,000 pages to about 50 pages, and we were pretty happy with that document. What it essentially did is it proposed a sensible balance between economic, social and environmental requirements. For far too long, for 20 years or more, the planning system has largely ignored the economic consequences of restricting housing, and certainly ignored the social consequences of restricting housing. And the focus has been very much on the environmental side of things. What the government's policy document in the summer said is, no, we need a sensible balance between the economic, social and environmental. And we think the document achieved a pretty good way of ensuring that we do have sustainable development.
The planning framework itself won't get that economic growth that the government says the country needs, and the country knows it needs. You don't get economic growth by deregulating the planning system. What businesses want is effective regulation, not less regulation. And what we want to see is a proper treatment of the countryside and the environment, so that those things aren't lost in the pursuit of growth.
At the end of the day, the house bill is merely a means to an end. This country has a desperate need for housing. We have a terrible housing shortage. There's something like 1 million homes that we should have built over the last 10 or 15 years which we didn't build. So we need those homes for people. At the end of the day, shelter is a basic human need, and we're not providing nearly enough homes. And if we look ahead to the likely growth in the number of households, we need a significant increase in the number of homes. And the planning system up until now just hasn't allowed house builders to do that.
Everyone recognises that we need to have homes for the next generation. We have a shortage of houses. It's more difficult for young people to get their foot on the property ladder. We need to have businesses creating jobs. We need to have businesses expanding, and sometimes that needs new premises. So in order to do that, we need to have a simpler and more accessible planning system that actually takes away a lot of the bureaucracy. We're determined to do that, and the Select Committee has been very supportive of that. In terms of the drafting and the detail, I wanted to get their advice. They've conducted a very thorough inquiry, and I'm very grateful for it.